Hello and welcome to our recipe for easy orange pork stir fry. And this is a recipe for helping with hypertension. So first we have some cubed pork, and you can see I've already pre-cut that. We have 2 tablespoons of olive oil, as well as some orange marmalade, a half cup of orange marmalade, and then a tablespoon of chili right here. And then we have our vegetable selection, which we have some snow peas. We have some red bell pepper that we've julienned. We've just made into little matchsticks, cut it right up. And then we have 1 medium onion that we've cut into rings. The idea being that, remember when we talk about heart health, we want to add vegetables that are blue, red, or orange to our menu, specifically for those phytonutrients that are in those vegetables, because especially the red and the orange, they help with heart and brain. The blue helps with the brain. So we want to make sure we're adding those naturally colored vegetables to our meal so that we can have those phytonutrients added to our diet. Okay, to begin our recipe, we're going to take our 2 teaspoons of olive oil and we're going to heat that up onto a medium-high heat in our pan. And I'm going to add our pork. We're going to get that cooking on a medium-high heat. Now we're using a pork loin to cook it because we've cut off all of that extra fat. So it's a leaner cut of our pork. And a lot of our livestock today is actually grown and harvested much lighter than it was in the past. We're following a healthier diet all around. So we want to pre-cook all of this pork before we add anything else to our dish. As we're getting our dish cooked, for safety reasons, of course, with the oil and the fat from the meat, you're wanting to wear an apron and make sure it doesn't splatter. So it's all right to turn down the heat a little bit, especially if you have small guests in your kitchen, so that they don't get splattered by the grease, of course. So now that we've got our pork kind of brown, I'm going to set this aside in a clean bowl. So I've gotten this separate bowl that's all nice and clean. So now we're going to continue on with our recipe. So into our skillet, to that same skillet, I'm going to add our orange marmalade. So we're using up the rest, the fat and the flavoring from the pork. I'm going to add our chili sauce. Now you can decide how spicy of a chili sauce you want. Most chili sauces range from extra spicy to very mild. So I'm going to get that sauce kind of started, and to that I'm going to add all of my vegetables. So I'm going to start by adding my onions, just because I want to make sure those onions get cooked. I'm going to add those in, onion rings, and then I'm going to add in my pepper, and of course my snow peas. So we're adding a lot of vegetables. So the idea being that a lot of our dish is we're going to have much more vegetables and flavor to our vegetables, and our meal is going to be a lot heavier on our veggies. Remember, we talked about we're having an increase in vegetables. We want 4 to 5 servings of vegetables every day. So we're going to just let this saute and move this about until all of those vegetables are tender, especially the onion, because we want the onion fully cooked. So that may take a few minutes. Okay, and we've skipped ahead a little bit, so you don't have to sit here and stare at the skillet with me. So here we are. Our onion is getting nice and sauteed, and I just keep moving it around. Our colors are still very bright. Our vegetables are still very bright and very just colorful and enticing, and our sauce is providing our flavor to everything. So now, as everything's getting done, I'm going to add our pork back in. And we want to heat it all the way through. And of course, putting the pork back in, it's also going to add some flavor to our pork because of our marinade with our orange marmalade and the chili. So now we're just going to put a lid on it so it can steam and get all nice and cooked. Okay, so now as I put the lid on, just to keep that steam in, just so it cooks all thoroughly. Now you can serve this as it is, of course. This actually is servings for 3, so it doesn't feed a whole bunch, but the idea is you're going to try and get your vegetables and your protein all in that one serving. You could also serve it with quinoa or whole grain rice. You're wanting to, once again, get half of your grains whole, and so we want everything to be healthy for your family. Okay, so we've let this cook for a little bit, and you can see that it's still bright and colorful. We're going to allow everything to just seep in. And we do want to cook off some of this extra liquid so that it gives us a nice sauce to add. But on a whole, this recipe will take from prep to finish about a half hour, and then it's on the table and ready to feed you and your family. And of course, here's one final shot of our dish. Once again, I would serve it with either a prepared quinoa or prepared brown rice, kind of as the topping of that. A bonus of cubing our pork is, of course, that it cooks faster, but you do want to make sure it gets to that proper cooking temperature of 150 to make sure that it's cooked all the way through so you don't get sick later. One more correction is, I believe when I was listing your ingredients, I said 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and it's actually 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So wanted to make sure that that was corrected. Thank you, and I'll see you at the next recipe.